Forward to the cloud. Great. So welcome. We usually start these meetings with some introductions. So we will leave Jonathan for last since he will be our first presenter. But I think we know most folks here, although Peter, Dave, have you been to one of our meetings before? Is this your first time?
I have not. It is my first time.
Okay, great. Todd and John, you've both been to meetings before, right?
Yep.
John, ciao. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, great. So let's go around the room since Peter Dave doesn't know anybody. I'll start. I'm Dan Moran. I'm one of the leaders of the Orange County Inland Empire Atlassian Community Events Group. I've been doing this for about 4 years. We took a bit of a hiatus during COVID, but we are back in business, which is exciting. I work at Capital Group, a financial services company based in downtown LA and Irvine, where I'm an enterprise agile coach. And my children are being very noisy, which normally they're not during a meeting. So please forgive that. I will send a message to them in a moment. So that's me. Why don't we go around the room and I'll just pick people. Mark, tell us a little about yourself.
Yes, I'm Mark Siegel. I've been the ACE, the Los Angeles lead for all of 2 months now. And this is my second meeting, so enjoying this. I work for Slalom. I'm a senior consultant, primarily focused on solution ownership, which is delivery management and agile coaching as well. And yeah, I'm also based out of the the LA area here. I'm in the wonderful Toluca Lake.
Nice. Okay, just gonna pick a person to speak next. How about John Chow? Tell us a little about yourself, John.
Yeah, my name is John Chow. I work for the RAND Corporation as a Jira administrator. We're based in Santa Monica. I think this is like my 4th or 5th meeting. There was one held locally at the Water Garden, and then that kind of went away. And then I think Dan started running it, and then I went to a couple of Dan's meetings. But yeah, happy to be here.
Cool. Good to see you again, John. Thanks. Todd, how about you?
I'm Todd Burns. I'm an account executive here at ISOS Technology. We're actually based in Arizona. I'm actually based in Portland, Oregon, but I cover the West for the ISOS, and we are a platinum partner, meaning all we do is Atlassian, and we do implementations, migrations, all the dirty work behind the scenes as far as managed services and whatnot.
Good to see you again, Todd. I will note ISOS has been a great supporter of this Atlassian Community Events Group ever since we relaunched it 4 years ago. So Todd, thank you very much for that continuing support.
Of course.
For attending tonight. Peter Dave, how about you?
Yeah, I am based out of Camarillo in Ventura County, so just up the coast from you guys. Company I work for is actually headquartered in Santa Barbara. It's called QAD. We compete in the ERP space with the big guys like SAP and folks like that. Yeah, I've been a Jira admin for several years, mostly dealing in like script runner automation type stuff. So if you search for script runner questions in the community, you'll see my name all over the place because I like to answer those posts. And a couple years ago, someone from the region started a Santa Barbara Ventura County group. It hasn't been super active. It really died off with COVID. And I was kind of maybe going to co-host those meetings, but it never happened. But my involvement is mostly from community and answering community questions. And my day job is Jira, Atlassian, any sort of application administration in our environment.
Very cool. Glad to have you here. I'm sure that the folks at Atlassian in the community group would love to have you as a leader for that Santa Barbara group.
So I've got the community leader badge, in the community, but I just haven't been that involved with actually leading a group. And when we have had Santa Barbara meetings or meetups before COVID, they weren't super well attended. So I don't know if there's enough of a crowd in the area to really, to really support that kind of event. But
yeah, it's a little tricky. You have to have a lot of Atlassian presence. Between Santa
exactly.
Barbara and Ventura County, it might be tough.
Exactly. Kind of small counties, small cities to start with.
Right. Well, glad to have you here. Thank you for attending. What we're going to do next is have two presentations from Jonathan Muse and Michael Kuhl, who I will introduce in a moment. They will speak for a while, and then at the end of the meeting, and of course, each of them will have some time for questions. We're very informal, as you probably have already gathered. And then we'll have some time open for just open discussion. If you have a question or something to bring to the group about any Atlassian product, pose that question, see if somebody knows the answer. We often find a lot of great insights from our fellow community events group members. So we were just finishing up introductions. So Nisha, your timing is perfect. Welcome. And why don't you introduce yourself to the group here?
So Mark knows me well. Okay, hi, my name is Nisha and I work for Slalom, and I'm a certified agile coach, and Jira is seriously my favorite tool of choice. I'm just like very interested in like learning, what are the different ways Jira can like help with a lot of different unique use cases than the normal ones that normal Jira webinars cover.
I'm glad to have you here. Then why don't I go ahead and zoom us into our first presentation, which is entitled Automating Away Common Jira Administration Tasks with PowerScript and Jira Service Management. Our presenter will be Jonathan Muse from Appfire. Jonathan, since we are informal, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the group and launch right in.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Muse. I'm out in Maryland. I've been using Jira since 2011, and I think I started using what is now PowerScript a few years after that, maybe a year or two after that, so almost 10 years too. I was a Jira administrator for a major healthcare organization, or at least a division of a major healthcare organization. I've been a consultant at an Atlassian Platinum Solutions partner as well for several years. And now I'm at Appfire, serving as the product manager for PowerScript. And I guess I can start if we're ready. What I'd like to share today is less about the product. There's plenty of automation tools out there. Most people know a few, but my position is kind of unique because I get to talk to people all the time and see what they're doing with the automation. And I have to admit, a lot of these people are very creative, more creative than myself sometimes. And I get to see the universe of automation. It comes to my door. I don't have to go out looking for it. But I don't think a lot of people get to see some of these amazing things people are doing all the time with automation. And they think of automation, they think of it creating subtasks or closing the parent ticket or closing an epic or something like that. But what I get to see every day is a lot more than that. So I'm just going to show you a solution that we built when I was with C Prime, the previous partner I worked for. And we called it Jira, Automating Jira Administration with Service Desk. So one of the things that I will never do is build a solution with the wrong tool. If possible, even if it's not my tool, the one I'm trying to share with you, if it's not the right tool, I won't recommend it, and I won't suggest that you use it. So the reason I won't do that is because often when implemented, I would be personally the one to go fix the problem whenever it broke and take care of the mess at crazy hours. So it was really drilled into me that choosing the right tool for the right job is the most important thing. And when it comes to managing requests, from Jira, from outside members, Jira Service Management really is the best tool. So we started with that as a platform, and I will, I can start sharing, but I don't think I have permission.
Stand by 1 second, my mistake.
Mhm.
Well, now, maybe I'm not so smart. Let's see. Security. Okay, go ahead. Try it again, John.
Yes. All right, so what we did is we started with a Jira service management project, and we created a bunch of request types, things that a normal Jira admin might find themselves inundated with requests from within the company, within the organization on a daily basis. Maybe they don't have permissions to create a new project or create a custom field or add options to the custom field, things like this. These are pretty basic requests that get made to Jira admins all the time. And what I found with automation is you don't necessarily go straight for the jugular with automation. Most people in their day solve really hard problems that automation isn't necessarily going to help them with. Only they can solve those problems, but it's the light work, it's the manual work that really lends itself to automation. So it's the one-off requests that a Jira admin is getting that really can take up their time and prevent them from focusing on something like a migration. So the idea behind this is, let's say we wanted to create a user. You would create the request as a manager. Maybe I'm hiring somebody, and I would enter the username that I want them to have. Their full name and their email address. And this creates a regular Jira Service Desk request. Now, on the other end of this, as the agent, as the customer support agent, I receive this request, and I might not be a Jira admin at all. I might be just somebody who knows the rules, the processes outlined by the company as to why I would be allowed to do something or not do something. So I'm already listed as an approver for this, and the idea is that that customer support agent on the other end can simply hit approve. Now, what happens behind the scenes is the user actually gets created by automation. So here we see a message has now gone out even to the new user that the account has been created. Let's see if I go. And there's the new user that we just created. And the automation takes care of this. Now, I'm not suggesting that you create the service desk project exactly as I have outlined here. However, if you would like this service desk project exactly as it's outlined here, it's actually wrapped up with Configuration Manager, and it's out there in a free Bitbucket account and has all the scripts, and you can install this within a few minutes. But what I am suggesting is the person who actually showed this to me had very, very sophisticated processes behind each of these, specific to their companies. So rather than create user, it was onboard new employee. And it wasn't just one task, it was many subtasks, such as creating the account in Jira, giving them VPN access, getting them a laptop sent out, whatever the case may be. And they integrated with all these other systems so that the automation did as much work as humanly possible. I mean, I'm not even sure how they did some of the things they did, to be honest. They could push software down to new users using PowerShell and integrating with PowerShell on the server. So all they needed was a laptop ID and the name of the software they wanted. And this workflow automation would actually push the software to their computer. And it changes the nature of Jira from something that tracks work to something that actually does work. And people often underestimate how much time these simple one-off requests, how much it can really take away from their day or their week or their month. But they'd be surprised, spend a day implementing this, another day customizing it, how much time it will actually save them. And I built this using PowerScripts, which is very similar to Script Runner, the difference being the language. So Script Runner, of course, can do this, and I believe CLI will be able to do this, if not already, but shortly. So it's less about what's behind it and more about what people are doing with it. And this is one of the ones I like the best, and I just wanted to share it with other people so they could maybe steal the idea and make it their own. So that's it.
Yeah, that's a really clean implementation.
And
Question. I mean, are we first of all, sorry, allowed to ask questions, or should I wait till the end?
you're allowed.
Oh, okay, so very quickly, I know you're showing this as an example for the Jira admin service desk, but do you think it's possible to do this even with the Jira software for project management?
Oh, absolutely. Really, the thing that service management is giving you is perhaps, I just dealt with a client or customer. They would automatically decommission accounts that haven't been active for a certain period of time. So if somebody went on vacation, their account might be deactivated, and they wanted them to still use Jira to request access. But since their Jira account had been deactivated, they couldn't. With Service Desk, you can get these public inquiries, these public requests come in, and it is a little bit cleaner. But that's all it really gives you. You can very easily build in the approval process that Service Desk has natively. You can pretty much, I mean, once you get past this point, it's pretty much the exact same thing as a regular project anyway.
Thank you.
So that is actually the repo that I'm putting in the chat. Wait, I don't think I made it public. Let me try that again.
I have, sorry, one more question. So is this a server version?
I am running on my server version, yes.
Okay.
This can also be done in cloud as well.
Okay, good. That was the next question. Thanks.
Yeah, with the exception of a lot of the things that the server version can do with user management. You have less control over the accounts in cloud because the accounts really do belong to the person and not the company at that point.
Yes. Okay, yeah, that's a good call out.
So the link I provided is where you can actually grab this. This is actually the configuration manager snapshot. We have an installation SIL script, which will actually come out to this repository and download more of the code and set some things up that couldn't be done with configuration manager at that time. I won't say it's the best example of the code because we overcomplicated the code to oversimplify the end result, if that makes sense. usually a lot of these commands can be done with just one line of code in Power scripts. So creating a user, creating a project, that's just one line of code. But what we created, like I said, we didn't want to create 30 custom fields. So we actually only created 5, and then we changed the text on the custom field to be whatever we want it to be. So we're kind of hot swapping out those custom fields real time, so that we don't fill your Jira instance up with 30 different custom fields. So like I said, we overcomplicated it. So
Any other questions for Jonathan?
Do you allow for, I like the example you showed, which is create a user and someone selects a username, but what if, it turns out that username has already been used, or perhaps that person already has an account in the system and they don't know. It's like, how do you provide feedback perhaps to the agent that like maybe they shouldn't approve this because when they try, it might give, bad results?
I don't know what we did. This was built several years ago, but the mechanism that we would use is in this comment section, and we'd add an automated comment if the operation was unsuccessful.
Okay.
We would probably very easily be able to get the failure that it didn't happen, but perhaps we might not be able to get the reason as to why it failed. And then somebody would have to do a little bit further investigation.
Thank you.
All right.
Any other questions for Jonathan? Okay, well, I want to thank you, Jonathan, for that presentation. Appreciate that. Why don't we move then on to our second presentation from Michael. But Michael, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Would you mind letting us know? And
let's have some fun. Take your best guess.
I'd guess Kuhl.
You got it. In America, that's how you pronounce it.
Okay, how do you pronounce it somewhere else?
In Germany, there'd be an umlaut over the U, and it'd be Kuhl.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Either way, it means cold.
In
Germany.
Okay. That's appropriate.
If you get into old, I think it's old Mercedes, the air conditioning is called a Kühlmeister.
Nice.
There's your trivia for the day.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I like good trivia. Michael's presentation today is entitled Learn How Atlassian CLI Can Guide You Through Powerful Admin Automation. He's also from Appfire. And Michael, I'll let you do your own introductions and just segue right into your presentation.
Okay, thanks, Dan. So just like Jonathan, I am a product manager at Appfire. I'm over the Atlassian CLI, created by the legendary Bob Swift. I have been in the Atlassian space for 12 years now. Started out as an enterprise admin, then went into doing consulting and other professional services for a few years, and found my way, luckily, to Appfire about 2.5 years ago. And I've been loving it ever since. And every day I get to work with Bob Swift and a whole bunch of other great people like Jonathan and others. So I love my job, and I love talking about CLI.
Right.
Should I begin?
Yeah, go right on in.
All righty. So I'm going to be a bit more elaborate maybe in my presentation, but we'll see if I can make it within a time limit. I've got 15 minutes, right, Dan? 10 minutes, 5 minutes?
No, you've got 15. I mean, if you need 20, that's okay too.
No, I pride myself in being able to do it in 15 minutes.
All right, that sounds good.
So we're going to talk about the CLI, and I'm going to talk about 3 automation scenarios that CLI covers, and they will get increasingly complex as we go. The idea behind these scenarios is these are things that admins or power users may find themselves needing to do and dreading having to do them. So we use the CLI to remove the dread and actually make it fun, if not simply painless. So we're gonna follow a theme here. We're gonna automate tasks, integrate tools, and migrate data. Or as the tagline says, automate, integrate, migrate, everything Atlassian. So 3 scenarios we're gonna cover. One's called tedious tasks made trivial in Jira, massive data sets in minimal time, and next level Jira plus Confluence integration. So the tedious task. So in this case, we need to copy multiple attachments from one issue to another. So if you see here, I have got 2 issues here in Chrome. I've got, oh, that's spaces. Here we are. Now we're in the right place. I've got 2 issues, SSP 10, which has 10 attachments, and SSP 11, where I also want those attachments to appear. However, it's not like I can just drag, see, it doesn't even work, drag these attachments up to the tab and drop them onto the issue or something clever like that. That doesn't work. So I get to download, switch tabs, upload, download, switch tabs. Well, you get it. It's tedious. It's tedious. And I hate tedious work. So we could right click, download and upload, right click, download and upload, do that 8 more times. Or with the ACLI, the Atlassian command line interface, we can type 1 command and then a couple blinks, it's done. So let's do the easy one. So let's remind ourselves, we're talking to an instance called Bob Swift 12. And we're working with SSP 10 is where our attachments are, and SSP 11 is where we want our attachments to be. So the ACLI is a command line interface. Therefore, I am in the command line. Now I'm demoing this to you on a Mac, but it would be exactly the same on Windows or Linux. So use your favorite flavor. So I type ACLI, and then remember we said it was on Bob Swift 12. So I'm going to tell the ACLI I want to work with Bob Swift 12. I've already saved all my connection information under that name. So I hit return. I get dropped into the ACLI shell. It tells me that I'm connected to a Jira Cloud instance named Bob Swift 12. And also down here, it tells me that in my status bar. So it's always there available to me. So the instructions here, type -A to begin an action, use tab to browse choices and space to select, and then / for more options. So the way the CLI works is there are actions you can perform. Think of them like commands. Those actions, depending on what you want to do, have additional information you need. Those are parameters. Now, there are over 800 possible actions in the CLI, and I have 20 of them memorized at most. So we've made the CLI to have what we call a wayfinding interface, a way for you to find what you need. So remember, we're trying to copy attachments on Bob Swift 12 between SSP 10 and SSP 11. All right, well, how do I do that? Well, I'm going to do -A, and it starts presenting me a list of all the possible actions I could use. And as I said, there's over 800, so I'm not going to start scrolling down through them. Instead, I'm going to go, okay, attachments. What do I want to do? I want to do attachments. And it starts narrowing down the list. So I go down here and I look through the descriptions. I tab into this, copy attachment, copy a page attachment for Confluence. That's not what I want. Jira attachments, copy attachments, 1 issue to another. That's what I want. So now I've found the action to do what I want to do there. I hit the space bar and now it tells me all the different parameters I can use. Now you notice the first 2, issue and 2 issue, are required. So issue is the issue key or ID that has the attachments I want. So I hit the space bar and look, it says loading. It's actually looking up the last 10 issues that I've viewed. My logged in user has viewed. And funny enough, those issues are the ones I just looked at. So SSP 10 is my origin. And then the 2 issue, go down there, hit space. And there's that SSP 11 that I want to hit. So I hit space again, and there's no more required parameters. There's a ton I could do, and that's for another day. But this is all I got to do. I hit return, and attachments will start copying as fast as Jira 12 will do them. So you see it's showing me that it's starting to copy attachments. So if I shift back over here to SSP 11 and refresh, it's got 5 attachments so far. And 8 attachments. So it's just about done. And we're done. So I could have downloaded, switched issues, uploaded, or I could make one command in the Jira CLI and get it done. So there's a tedious task made trivial in Jira. Let's look at our next scenario. Okay, so I have a CSV file with 50 projects. Some manager, director thought it was a great idea to create 50 new projects for our next big to-do. And they were so helpful, they built them in an Excel file and handed me the CSV. Very, very helpful. Thank you, boss man. So how do you get that done? Well, there is no way to import a CSV file to make projects. So you could be flipping back and forth, copying and pasting between the CSV file and Jira for the next hour or so. When I have to do that, I'll put on some speed metal or some dubstep or something else to get me going, and I'll do it. Or better, I could type one command and go get a coffee. This time of night, yeah, hot chocolate. But anywho, I could do that. So let's take a look at that. So let's go here. So we're done working with issues. Go to Jira. Let's look at all the projects we have. And we have, hey, guess who forgot to delete a bunch of projects before he did this demo? That would be me. That's okay. I'll show you a feature that makes it easy. A little on the fly work there. All right, so here is my file where I used a really cool service called Makaru and told it I needed a 3-column CSV with about 50 rows, and it just used some Latin and stuff to make me a bunch of names. So I had some nice sample data. So there's my CSV file. And I need to process it. So -A. So once again, what command do I use? Well, I know I've got a CSV file, so let's search for CSV. Run from CSV, run actions generated from CSV file. Sounds right. Now, okay, I got to specify the file. Well, this CLI will go through my file system for me, and I know it's mock data. So there's my file right there. It helped me find it. Now, what I have to do is I have to tell it I said run from CSV, so that means run an action for every row in that CSV. I want to do the same thing for every single row in that CSV. So my common action wants us to create projects. So let me search for projects. There it is. Create project is what I need. Cool. What's required here? Project and lead. Okay, I'll do project. Now you notice it did not give me a list of projects because I'm not referencing an existing project. I'm trying to create a new project. Well, lucky for me, my column names are the same names as what the values need to be in Jira. So I actually can skip, get back in the terminal here. I actually can skip telling it the project because it'll get it right from the CSV. But you notice the other thing it needed was lead. Who is the project lead? Well, if we look at the description here, I can use @self to make me the current lead. So I'll do that. Now, one more thing that I need to do here. And it's like a common parameter, so you won't see it in the, oh, there it is right there. So remember how I said I accidentally before this demo forgot to delete all these projects I made from the previous time? Whoops. I can use the option continue. And it says continue trying to create projects, even if I run into errors. So it will try to create a project, the project won't exist, and it'll continue. Now, something else I could do, and this could be clever, and check this out for demonstrating without a net. Because I need to delete those projects, I could just look up project, delete project. Project is required. Well, I don't need that because I've already got the list of projects on there, but I'm going to say continue. So I'm just going to go ahead and use that list of projects to delete the projects. And I'm going to tell it, well, you know, if there are any projects on there that actually aren't on that Jira instance, just keep on going and proceed to continue to the next one. So what I'm saying here is run an action from a CSV. Use mockdata.csv, which you see up here, for your data. Use that data in the delete project action. And because project is a required parameter, I got to tell it what project to delete, but my CSV already has it. I am golden. So watch me demo without a net to see just how well I know this project. Look at that. It's finding the projects and deleting them. So demo 0947 Andalax. There it is. We see it right there. If I try to click, it'll probably go, I can't find that project. Yep. That project no longer there. And you see it's no longer in the list. So it's just going through and deleting all those projects. So, and here we go right here. Demo 7674 was not found. It ignored it, kept on going. So I'm showing you a delete project just because I just happened to notice my mistake, but it works for add project. It can work for changing the description or anything, any mass operation you want to perform. And this is just going to keep on going until it gets you that list. And there we go. 50 actions were successful. So it went through all 50 rows in that CSV and ran the action. All done. So let's show you real quick about this run. There are all kinds of run actions. Basically anything that you can get a list of from Jira or Confluence or what have you, it can do that. So Dan, I haven't been tracking time. How am I doing? I can go to another topic or I can open up for questions. I'll leave it up to you, sir.
You have, yeah, why don't you go ahead? I want to see that the third scenario was, that's what you would do next, right?
Yep.
I'm fascinated, so keep on going.
Okay. So funny story. It worked best when I created the projects rather than deleting them. So let's recreate those projects. Why not? But this time I'm not going to explain it so much. I'm just going to go and do it. And since I already explained it once, oops, downloads. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and recreate those projects that I just did. Oops, project. I want to, there it is, create project. And the lead will be at self. And that should work. Okay, so if we go over here and we refresh our screen, you see the projects are now just coming over. So let's just give it a minute here to create all those projects. Something I could have done, I did not think to do. I could have added an option -- parallel, and it would have actually done, it would have done this action into multiple parallel threads and run even faster. But I haven't made a habit of using that parameter yet. Bob Swift himself suggested that when he saw one of my recent demos, and I have not incorporated it yet. So what I can do, the next best thing is open up another terminal window. So now I've got another window open. I'm talking to Bob Swift 12. The next thing I wanted to do was I wanted to create spaces. Every new project or every project that is on this Jira instance, I wanted to create a space for it. So I want to read data from Jira and create a space in Confluence. So once again, I'm going to do a run, but now I'm kind of starting to get how this works. Run from project list. So I run from project list, and it needs input comment file. Well, notice it's not asking me for like what projects I want. I could go down here and say, give me the ones that are in this category. But in this case, I'm not going to limit it to it. I'm going to do all the projects. So the action I'm going to perform is I want to work with spaces. So let's search for spaces. There we go. Add space. What are the requirements for adding a space? Well, I got to have the space name. Now, in this case, I have no shortcuts. Because remember, when I worked with the CSV before, it really helped me. That project column was already there. But I want the space to have the same, be named after the project. So I'm going to make the space the same as the project. So I'm going to say, this is the special thing, at project. And it will read the project from each project in the list and supply that as the space parameter. And so I believe that's everything I got to do. And let's just go over here and see how we're doing on spaces. I think they're probably, yeah, they're just about all made. And just for grins, let's add continue in case I forgot to clean up things in Confluence. But let's actually see if I forgot to clean up things in Confluence. Here's that space list. Those two were already there in Jira. So that continue will help me keep on adding spaces, even though I already had that one created. So here's my list of spaces. I'm going to create a space, add one for every project, and the space is going to be called the project key. So we hit return. And once again, I forgot to do parallel. Nobody spoke up to remind me to do parallel, but here we are. It's adding the spaces as we go. Let's add one more. Come on, you can do it. All right, let's refresh. And there we are. There's the first two spaces made. And while we are watching these spaces get created, let me summarize. Oh, I didn't do my intro slide. New Confluence for new page for every, I said page here, but I did a space. New space for every project. Once again, you could be swiveling between browser windows, constantly copying and pasting project information to create spaces. Instead, we did it in a terminal on one monitor, and I streamed season 6 of The Expanse on the other one. If you have not watched The Expanse, oh my Lord, watch it. It's awesome. Anywho, so we did it. We automated tasks, we migrated data, we integrated tools.
That is pretty darn cool.
So I've opened to questions.
Am I allowed to ask questions?
I don't think there's any rules against it, brother.
All right, I'll let Nisha go first, though.
Yeah, sorry. First of all, Michael, this was really awesome. So my question is this: the ACLI you used, is it that I have never used that? So is this the Atlassian one, CLI?
Yes. So if we were to go, let's go to the marketplace real quick. And if we just search for CLI, you'll get a number of hits on here. So the Atlassian CLI is what runs on your computer or on a server. It's the command line that you can run interactively like I just did, or run in scripts, however you need to. For the products you communicate with, there is the plugin. So there's a Jira command line interface and the Confluence command line interface. Those are the two that I demonstrated today. So what you saw is in this Jira instance, Jira CLI is installed.
Mhm.
On this Confluence instance, the Jira CLI is installed. And on my desktop, the Atlassian CLI is installed. So the Atlassian CLI is one app that talks to all Atlassian apps. So it'll talk to Jira, Confluence, Bitbucket, Bamboo. It also talks to Slack, by the way, and a few other things.
Awesome.
So that's how that works.
Are these commands like inbuilt? Like, did they come with the package, or
I don't follow.
like when you install the CLI, all the commands that you showed, do they come within the box, or like
Yes.
are these created? Okay.
You get all 800 plus the moment you install the Atlassian CLI.
Okay, that's awesome. Sorry, I know I'm taking up too much time. One very quick question. The one
Yeah.
that you showed, like where, using a CSV, you actually created multiple projects. Is there like a scenario? I mean, is there a possibility where it also works for like adding a lot of user stories within one particular project?
Yes, it does. In fact, I'll just start that up for you. So if I did the same thing, my common would be, I start looking for issue. Whoops. So I would use create issue. And then I could just reference the columns in the CSV to create issues.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Sure.
So I was literally looking at around today at something like this. How about if you wanted to do something where I have a scenario where I had created a project for migration work while the team was doing some final testing in the main project. So I didn't migrate all the data in, so I could easily clear out the test data and then later move the issues from the migrate project over to the final project. I got like 19,000 issues that need to be moved. So is this beholden to the same constraints of like 1,000 issues at a limited at a time, or is it also able to expand beyond that?
Nope. Not limited. So you can either do a single copy issue, but more likely you're probably going to do run from issue list. So the same way, you just give it the JQL. And then use that common. So we'll just give it some fake JQL. And then just like that.
Is it able to do an actual move issue?
Move issues so that you're moving it. You're just I think is that considered an update? Let me see here. So I think that is a copy. And remember, 800 plus commands. I don't remember all of them. I remember here. I believe what you do is you do a copy issue, and then the set that you copied, you do the update. Or rather, excuse me, if you're trying to move the issue, you do an update issue. I believe is actually how it works.
Okay, so yeah, it just sees project as a field that it's updating on all the issues rather than actually like the UI where it's doing a move.
I believe that is correct. I could tell you, I believe we have a help article on that on bobswift.atlassian.net. But if you don't see it there, our support team monitors the Atlassian community. So you will get an answer on how to perform that if you can't find it in the knowledge base on the website.
I'll play around with that.
Curious about
Yeah.
auditing. When you do actions through the CLI, what's the audit log that's created on the Jira front?
So it's the same as a user doing the issue directly. We're
Okay.
using Atlassian's published REST API, and it's what you don't see here because I have it pre-configured is I have my username, and because it's cloud, my token already stored away for me. So it automatically knows to use it for me to connect to this instance. So I can only do with the CLI what my login allows me to do. So all the same permissions are enforced, but it also logs what I did as that user, just the same way as any other API interaction would.
Okay, awesome.
Does it have the ability to suppress notifications while you're doing bulk?
I've done that to people so many times.
Yeah, right there.
Nice.
That is nice.
This was really awesome. Like seriously, both Jonathan and Michael, like with the onboarding one, I mean, that's a use case that we see everywhere, and that's such a huge thing. And even with the attachments you were showing, Michael, like I was thinking about my previous workplace. Oh my God, when it comes to IT control compliance tickets, there's like so many things that you would have to copy over from one ticket to another. And there are so many attachments. When I was looking you doing that, I was like, this would have been so useful.
Yeah, I'm familiar. Jonathan, do you still have a question?
Yeah, the parallel. How many parallel threads does it use, and can you control it?
I was just going to ask that one.
You would ask a hard question like that. How do you spell parallel? Is it Parrellel?
Yeah.
Wrong person.
Well, you use the word, dude. Parra.
Just one R,
Two-
2 L, 1 L.
Got it. Thank you. I'm actually looking it up in the docs because
Yeah, I'm
You know what,
there.
that
See
ma-
it.
that-
There's max parallel, max threads. So you've got various options.
oh, you already got it?
Yeah, I'm already looking at your documentation page.
Hey man, 800 plus actions, multiply that by how many parameters. It's massive. Cool. So there you go, Jonathan. Yes, you can.
So my
Under the covers, it's Java, so it can just spin up all the threads at once.
I mean, is it doing the multiple? Well, what's not clear is whether it's doing the parallel on your terminal end of things and sending multiple commands, or if it's sending them all to Java and then Java splits them off.
Well, it's Java running in your terminal. So
okay, it's still Java.
So it's doing it locally, yeah.
Okay.
Thought I heard another question.
I was just gonna kind of tack on to that. Just wondering if you're not careful with that parallel command, that you might, if you run into any constraints of the API constraints. But it sounds like the way that it's more doing it on your system and not necessarily simulating a DDoS attack on Jira.
Yeah. I imagine there is a point, because if it's all coming from the same IP, it might look like DDoS, but if you can generate that much volume of actions, all at once, you got that much data.
You've got a beefy machine.
Yeah, you got a beefy machine. You got a lot of data.
Michael, for the record, I too had a fancy PowerPoint, but I forgot to use it.
Like I said, we're very casual here.
good thing.
Any other questions for Michael? Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you both for your presentations. They're really fascinating. It's great to see tools that are handy both for admins and for users. So I appreciate you, both of you taking the time from your schedules to meet with us. And we'll transition now to the part of the meeting where it's open discussion. Anybody has anything to talk about, questions? Hey, have you ever done this? Hey, did you know about this? Any of that kind of stuff.
I'm actually, I just got a chance to look at the chat, the Zoom chat. That page for feature parallel is actually for Gint.
Oh,
not
okay.
for
You know
the
what?
CLI.
Yeah, thank you. So I just did a search on the website. That's what came up. So yeah, nice catch.
There's a good case. It works there. It works the same way,
Yeah,
but this documentation is not for the CLI.
Thank you for pointing it out.
Sure.
I'll ask everybody here. Is anybody going to Team 22 in Vegas?
Yeah, I'm stuck with Jonathan doing another presentation.
That's right.
You're going virtual or for real?
We're for reals.
For really reals, okay.
I haven't decided. You know, I have not managed to attend any of the virtual sessions. So I went to Las Vegas 2 years ago, I guess. And you know, by the time the virtual session came by, I was signed up, I had it on my calendar, but then reality of real work comes through. Whereas if you're there, you're not on your computer, you can't do work, you can focus, you actually be there. But I don't know if I'm ready to brave the COVIDs.
Didn't you hear it? COVID was declared non-existent in Vegas. It did that about a year ago, man.
Yeah.
I had a coworker that went the June 2020. It's like, yeah, sure, it's fine. And then he was sick 2 weeks later. He was okay. You know, he was lucky. But yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's probably too much to ask that it goes back to the way it was in 2019, huh?
Yeah.
But I guess we can hope.
I'm thinking of going, but I haven't decided. Like Peter, Dave, I haven't decided yet. Mark, what about you?
I kind of want to, but
I'm not ready to venture there yet. Maybe next year. But yeah, unfortunately, it's still just kind of crazy right now.
Yeah.
Vaccinated, boosted. I ended up having COVID right after my booster as well in December. It's like, okay, if I don't think I'm likely to to catch anything if I did go. And everybody in my family got COVID because one of my son who works at a restaurant still lives at home. He's 20. He brought it in. He was late getting his booster, so that might have explained why he didn't get it, why he caught it. And it ran through all of us. We all fared okay. So, you know, I feel kind of comfortable with this position being in. It's like, okay, I'm not too afraid. I'll get another booster when I'm due, but yeah, I don't know. Like, do I feel like being social again? I moved completely virtual too. I haven't seen another human being outside of my immediate family for 2 years.
The court in my neighborhood that I live on, everybody was boosted. We went to one birthday party together. Everybody got Omicron, even being boosted.
Wow.
So I don't think it cares as much about the vaccine.
Interesting.
Well, the vaccine is not supposed to prevent it. It's supposed to make it much less severe and help you avoid hospitalization. So even the CDC and everyone will tell you, you're not going to avoid getting it. You're just going to avoid getting really sick.
Yeah, and I had a childhood friend who just died of it because he was an anti-vaxxer. So I would say that's probably how it works.
How does every conversation go to COVID? We started talking about Summit, and now we're talking about COVID.
No, that's the truth.
I'm the one who asked. I asked if anyone's going. Blame me.
I really like the
How about
concept.
that Super Bowl?
Yeah, right.
It's less controversial.
Wait a minute, I heard they weren't wearing masks at Super Bowl. No, wait a minute, that's COVID again. Sorry.
Okay, let's move on to open discussion of other topics. Anybody have anything they want to bring up? Something cool? Something you wondered
I'm
about?
sorry, I just have a question because as you guys were talking, I was just thinking about Jonathan's and Michael's thing. Do you guys have you guys had any reporting use cases with the automations and with the CLI command lines?
Reporting use cases?
Yeah, like
Can
maybe
you-
reporting on the teams, or maybe like, reporting on projects. Has there been very special reporting that doesn't come out of like, the Jira out of the box reports?
I mean, I'll go. It's not easy to get a report of just all the users and maybe what groups they are associated with out of the box. It's very easy with automation with like PowerScripts or CLI. And as you said, projects, the groups themselves. There's
yeah,
a lot,
and group
lot of-
membership.
that way. Group membership.
It-
big.
That's a great example is getting groups in their membership, with the CLI, it's run from group lists, get user list.
Mhm.
It's one of those compound commands and away you go. I'm sure it's similarly simple with PowerScripts.
Yeah, but like I said, if there's a better tool, I'm going to use it. Most of the time, I don't need to look outside PowerScripts, but getting page lists and things like that is actually a lot faster in CLI, and I find myself actually using a combination of the two. Sometimes I'll create a CSV data file using CLI and then drop it in PowerScripts and start doing things from there, or vice versa.
Okay.
I do that with Groovy all the time. In fact, our company acquired a company just last fall, and they happen to have a Jira Cloud instance for their development and a Zendesk instance for their service desk. And I did the entire import into our main server Jira instance, all using Groovy. So I set up I set up APIs for both things, and I created basically a script that made a JQL call to their Jira Atlassian and loaded all of our, loaded tickets with all of their data into our, a dev project I created for them. And then I did the same thing and loaded all their Zendesk ticket into our main service desk instance that we centralized for all of our support. And even was able to then further kind of translate because their Zendesk and Jira Cloud were connected together through the connectors that those tools offer. So the service desk or the Zendesk instance was aware of the Jira ticket that was implementing the fix, for example. So I was able to look up that ticket, figure out which ticket I created that was based on that, because I kept the original ticket as a separate custom field. And then I was able to link my software project with the service desk project. And that was all through one Groovy script that just went, clicked on it, came back an hour later, and they had all of their issues created. So when you know a little bit your way around integration, automation, REST API calls, what you can do is pretty much, limited by your imagination.
That is so right, Peter Dave. In fact, that the CLI is essentially a wrapper for all those REST API calls
Exactly.
to do the work. You made me think of a similar example one of our customers does, where they have an internal Confluence instance and an external Confluence instance, and every night they have a scheduled CLI action that runs, that synchronizes, that basically publishes from the internal to the external, and they don't even worry about it. It just happens every night and they're done.
But to your point, what I found is people have a limited imagination. And that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to share some of the solutions, just to, a conversation comes up a month later, and maybe it's not related at all, but a light bulb goes off and they say, hey, maybe we can do this with integration. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You know, the use case you were showing, we're about to embark in a large project to replace our legacy tool that was doing all of our identity management. Our shop still runs a lot of those old processes on Lotus Notes. So we have something called the NAS database. That's the new arrivals and separation. And it has a bunch of automation. It creates the Active Directory accounts, and it links to our Workday where people information is. And that kind of all brings it together. And I'll probably end up replacing all of that functionality with our Jira instance. And our Jira is going to be able to manage along with Insight, where we can capture the employee information pulled from our Workday database through imports. You know, we can know which employee is just starting, about to start, has been terminated, and we can trigger all the automation from that. And if we need to adjust user groups based on like another schema, we can keep an insight that'll say this user based on belonging to this functional group should therefore automatically get this Active Directory group. It's all going to kind of come together in one central place.
The best things I've ever built were combined with Insight. Having the ability to store, you know, data like a database in Jira just opens up so many possibilities.
Yes.
It so does. I've in fact next month, given the preview of this, I'll have it up on the posted in the next week or so. But we have the a product manager from Atlassian on Insight, and we're going to show some cool stuff that they've done with Insight and automation.
Yeah, if you're a groovy scripter, dealing with Insight can bring some headaches though. They haven't made it easy, but it is possible. And I've actually shared in one article in the community kind of a helper class that I created for people that are groovy scripters that can you know, basically make one command that you can, you know, get a simple attribute from an object, from a custom field, using just one line instead of having to bring all of the various objects and classes that script runner, not script runner, that the Insight API requires you to call. So that makes, you know, I've had a few good comments on people really liking that. So it's complicated, but it is super powerful. And their IQL is so lightning fast when you're searching for things too. It's really impressive what they've done with that.
I'm looking forward to some of the new enhancements. I know they just got the enhanced forms, and there's said that in the next, probably later this year, they'll have the integration with Insight there, where you can do some cool stuff with the enhanced forms and Insight.
Yeah, we're still on the long-term support version, so I haven't explored anything recent, you know, beyond the .13 version.
Have you ever played with the Tempo API?
No, we don't use Tempo over here.
Let's just say it gets worse than Insight.
It?
You can literally see into the mind of the person who created it, and they think so different than you or I. They don't believe in relational data. They believe in relative data. So it's not about how things connect. It's how is this scheme different than its parent. So you literally have to go down layers and layers and layers to get the entire picture.
Okay, yeah.
Sounds like it's object based.
Yeah, but I don't know why they did it that way.
I mean,
Yeah, I have like. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say the Insight API, I think, is complex because it reflects the flexibility of the underlying data structure. The way the way you create schema without changing your database schema is what makes the data structure difficult to deal with, and therefore the APIs similarly. And if you're trying to export, we've tried to do some external reports, and I don't know if EasyPI or anyone like that. I've managed to leverage Insight effectively, but we've done some of our own direct to SQL reporting and trying to get data in relation to It's like you have an issue, you have a customer custom field that links to a customer object, and you're trying to get 3 or 4 attributes from your customer to display on a report. That is not an easy feat, especially if some of those objects are object references, and trying to build all that into a SQL query makes for very ugly SQL.
Agreed.
Sorry, I interrupted somebody.
Yeah, I was gonna say on the relationships, I was racking my brain for like a week on something where you have to with an IQL having to do nested outbound, inbound, outbound kind of reference. They can get pretty gnarly pretty quick.
Yes, especially if you're trying to be fancy without you filter data in a custom field.
Exactly. That was exactly it.
And one thing that would have made this so much easier is if Jira context allowed you to have 2 contexts for the same project for different issue type. There's been tickets out there for this for a long time. If you could do that, and you could have 2 separate IQLs. Okay, if I'm looking at a service request, this is the IQL I want you to do if you were looking for that. So what I ended up doing is creating an issue types attribute on all of the place I want to filter. So then I can do an IQL, and I could say and issue types like the name of my current issue type. And so I can control my data by saying, okay, show these fields on this type of issue, these other on this other. So it works, but it does tend to slow down a little bit in the long run because my IQL get too complex and takes a few seconds to get your drop down.
Mm-hmm. I guess question for everyone here is, are there any topics you'd like to see covered in an upcoming, like I said, I'm already working to nail down the March, our March event, and I expect that one to be primarily around insight and automation, but any other topics that you guys would find of value? I mean, and it doesn't have to be Jira. I know that we typically have like a heavy Jira crowd, but there's other Atlassian topics. I'd love to hear them, so maybe I can get somebody from Atlassian, like one of the product managers, to speak, or if we've got other partners that are that have been working in that area.
I'd like something on HipChat.
Too soon, man. Too soon.
That's still too soon. Nice. No, it's a good question. I'm sorry for making a joke about a serious question.
No, that's good. That's great. I hadn't heard HipChat in a while.
I just deleted my custom API that I'd created for HipChat. We never fully rolled it out, but we were trying to. So I ended up creating a custom REST API with Jira that allowed me to create new HipChat accounts directly from our Jira server. So there was a self-service button basically that says sign up for HipChat, and it sent a request to the HipChat, create the account. And then once you had done that, you could see the HipChat integration panels in the Jira ticket. Otherwise you didn't.
Atlassian did tell me, because I was on a call with them on Friday for that March event, and they were saying that I think by the end of this month, they're going to be doing the big release of like chat reinvented. It's like built into Jira.
Really?
Yeah.
So cloud only though.
Yeah, I would imagine.
I know we're locked in to, script runner is nice and all that, but the kind of automation and integration we're doing kind of locked us into on-premise.
Oh yeah, I'm working on a project now where they had migrated to the cloud, and they had all these apps that have suddenly been neutered. I mean, it's just what happens with with cloud. You're going to have more constraints than you will on a on-prem. But yeah, script runner was definitely one of them.
I mean, the Adaptivist folks have tried to bring parity as much as possible. And there's still a few things they can't do. They say they expect eventually to have the APIs to do it, mostly
it's
around
not-
behaviors.
It's not their fault.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not their fault. But anything that we've written, we have a large collection of scripts, would have to be rewritten from scratch. It'd be a multi-month project probably at this point, just to rewrite everything to use different terminology and different APIs. You convert everything from Java API to REST API for one. But just some of the stuff outside of the main, stuff that Jira does, and a lot of the customization. A lot of our customization that can't be converted right now is all behavior stuff. A lot of our users want dynamic forms. You pick something in a drop down, you show or hide fields, or based on a certain selection or who you are, you might see different list of values in a drop down or different fields. So all of that stuff right now is completely impossible. And so until they release some kind of API that can control the real-time behavior of the forms.
Yeah, I think the enhanced forms is going to be there. There's already
Okay.
some really good progress there because they had acquired Performa a couple years ago. And right now, it just feels like it's Performa, like a link to Performa on Jira. I'm sure with the given a little more time, it's going to feel more integrated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but there's still things that behaviors does for people. PowerScripts has a similar feature called live fields, and you go to any form out on the internet and data's hidden from you until you need it.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it less intimidating. You're more likely to fill it out. Text or data validation, real time, just all these different things. Any form you use on the internet, except Jira. And it kind of brings it back to that place, and it just makes it more what people are used to seeing. And one of the things that I really noticed over the years of building all these crazy automations and integrations that the clients asked me to build, it's like I can build it the way you just asked me to, but I've learned over the years that you will have lost your users very quickly. You just made it too intimidating for them to even want to fill out this ticket. 30 required fields, they're not going to do it. I can tell you right now, they're not going to do it. You can still get this data eventually, but putting it all on the create screen, they just won't make the ticket. And that helps to be able to kind of fine tune the user experience. It is very helpful.
Yeah, that's why I was asking you about validation earlier, because I have a similar case. We have a form that we use to start the request for what we're calling non-employee user access. So they could be partners or contractors, contingent workers. And, it could be someone that always was in our system a year ago or whatever. They've since been, disappeared, and a new manager hires the same person. They may not even know that they've worked before. So what I do is when they're filling that form, if they're filling out, username and email for the new user, it'll do a search behind the scenes with behavior to say, hey, do I know this user somewhere? And if I do, I can feed that right back on the screen to say, hey, looks like this person already exists in the system. What you want is not a new employee, it's a reactivation form instead, or I can drive them in the right path based on what they're inputting.
I was brought on as a consultant for a very, very large company to do some Jira work. And another team within the company had done the exact same thing without anybody knowing. So what do you mean they wouldn't know the user's already there?
Hey, everybody. Thanks for it. I've got to jump off here. So thanks a lot for having me, letting me show off the CLI. It was great talking with y'all.
Thank you, Michael. I think what we're going to do is take this opportunity to go ahead and end the meeting. We're a little over on time, although we usually try to end by 7:30. But let's call it a night. To be honest, I need to eat dinner. To be perfectly frank with you. So it was a great meeting, Michael, Jonathan. Thank you for your presentations. We've had terrific discussion, and we will look forward to the meeting scheduled in March, once we get it scheduled and on the calendars, and you'll see notifications in your email boxes. So thanks, everybody, and appreciate your attendance tonight.
Have a great night.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.